He found the profile I thought I had hidden forever, and the man who loved me disappeared from my life. The truth about my addiction wasn't physical, but it destroyed everything we had built. If you've ever hidden behind secrets that destroyed you, subscribe now and comment below where you're watching. My name is Laura. I'm 29 years old, and if you met me a few months ago, you'd probably think I had it all together. Confident, successful, charismatic, the girlfriend every guy would dream of, and the woman every friend admired. That's how everyone saw me. That's how I made sure they saw me. But what nobody knew was who I became when the doors were closed, when the lights were off, and when no one was watching except the strangers on the other side of the screen. I wasn't addicted to drugs. I wasn't sneaking around cheating. My addiction was far more subtle, but just as destructive. I was addicted to being desired, addicted to the way people looked at me online, the way they craved me, fantasized about me, worshipped the image I created. It started innocent. A few sensual pictures on Instagram, a bit more skin, watching the likes explode. Men sending heart emojis, comments like, "Goddess, perfection, I wish you were mine." And every notification felt like a shot of dopamine straight to my soul. It wasn't just attention, it was validation. Proof that I mattered, that I was beautiful, that I was enough. At least, that's what I told myself. But enough is never enough when you're feeding a hole that keeps growing. I created a private account, then another. Then I found platforms where people paid to see more pictures, more videos, more of me, but never fully, never naked, never my face. That it wasn't cheating because there was no physical touch, but the truth, it was worse. I wasn't just betraying Andre, I was betraying myself, the woman I thought I was, the relationship we built. By day, I was the supportive girlfriend, the fun partner, the woman who cooked, laughed, cuddled, and loved him. But when he went to work, when he went out with friends, when he fell asleep, I became someone else. I became a fantasy, a secret, an obsession for men I'd never meet, but whose words felt like oxygen when I couldn't breathe through my own insecurity. I told myself it was harmless, that it was just online. But deep down I knew every time I looked at Andre and felt the guilt stabbing through my chest. I knew when he kissed me, and I wondered how I could pretend like nothing was wrong. But the worst part, I didn't stop. Even when the guilt suffocated me, even when the shame wrapped around me like chains, I still opened the app, still posed, still smiled, still waited for that next comment, that next tip, that next message saying, "You're perfect. You're my dream." Because as broken as it sounds, for a while, those words mattered more than anything, more than Andre, more than real love, more than my own dignity. I didn't do it for the money. I barely even touched the payments. It wasn't about that. It was about being seen, being wanted, being desired in a way that felt endless. Andre loved me for who I was, but I was addicted to being loved for how I looked. And no amount of real love could fill the black hole inside me that whispered, "You're not enough. Be enough, unless someone wants you." And that voice owned me. It all started as a joke, a harmless little game. I posted a bikini photo a little more suggestive than usual. The likes exploded. Comments like "so beautiful" and "you're a goddess" started pouring in, and for the first time in a long time, I felt alive. Wanted, seen, like I mattered, like maybe I wasn't invisible anymore. The dopamine rush was instant. Every like gave me a little high. Every direct message felt like validation. And then the messages came in asking if I had a private account. I laughed it off. I told myself it was ridiculous. But the thought kept circling my mind like a shadow I couldn't escape. What if I did something small, something private? No one would know. No face, no identity, just a fantasy. And that's how it began. A second account, private, locked, for special followers only. The first few posts were harmless bikini photos, provocative captions, a little more skin, but nothing too much. But with each post, the comments got edgier, the requests got louder, and the rush addictive. So I pushed the envelope. Lingerie shots, suggestive poses, 2 a.m. messages from men asking, begging, tipping just to see more. And I told myself, it's okay, I'm not cheating, I'm not meeting anyone. These are just pictures, just words. But with every click, every upload, every new follow, a part of me crossed a line I swore I'd never come close to. I wasn't doing this for the money. I was barely touching the paychecks. I was doing this for something much darker. The feeling of being desired, of being someone's obsession, of being the center of someone's fantasy, even if they didn't know my face, even if they didn't know my name. Because in those moments, I wasn't just Laura. I was more. I was power. I was control. I was desire itself. And the worst part? I told myself I was in control, that I could stop whenever I wanted. But deep down, I knew I wouldn't. I knew I was feeding a monster I couldn't tame. And every time I closed the app, took off my makeup, and lay in bed next to Andre, the guilt whispered, "What are you doing?" But the next day, the pull was back. Stronger, hungrier, louder. I thought I was safe. I thought I was untouchable. But looking back now, that was the first lie, the first crack, the beginning of the end. I wish I could say it stopped there, that the private Instagram was the limit, but it never is, right? Once you taste the high, the validation, the power, it's never enough. Someone in my DMs suggested it. Why don't you open an OnlyFans? You'd make a fortune. I laughed at first. I told myself it was ridiculous, but the seed was planted. I spent an entire night scrolling, looking at other girls' profiles, seeing what they posted, how they did it. It didn't seem that bad. Lingerie, teasing, suggestive captions. Some went further, but I wouldn't. Or so I told myself. I opened. The account chose a name that wasn't mine. No face, no voice. Just my body, my silhouette, my curves, my skin, but never all of it. At least not at first. The subscriptions started rolling in immediately. Notifications blew up my phone. Men from everywhere. Married men, lonely men, young guys, old guys. And with every new subscriber, the rush grew stronger. It wasn't about the money, even though it was crazy how fast it came. Thousands just for existing, just for showing. Skin, just for being someone's escape. But the money wasn't the drug. It was knowing that at any moment, 100, 500, 1,000 men were looking at me, fantasizing about me, craving me, wanting me. Me, the same girl who once cried in the bathroom because she felt invisible. I was their obsession, their desire, their addiction. I started doing custom requests, then live streams, nothing fully naked, never crossing that line. Or so I told myself again, but it was always right on the edge. Whispered fantasies, teasing, turning the camera just enough, covering just enough. But everyone knew exactly what was happening, and the comments, God, the comments were fuel. You're my dream. I watch you every night. I think about you when I'm with my wife. At first, I was disgusted. Then, I wasn't, because I liked knowing I had that kind of power, that control, that attention. With me talking about our future, about trips, about maybe getting engaged, and I smiled. I nodded. I kissed him. I told him I loved him, but my heart was split. My soul was fractured. Because the truth is, I started craving the strangers, more than I craved the man who actually loved me. I stopped initiating intimacy, stopped laughing the same way, stopped showing up emotionally, because why would I need his attention? When I had hundreds of men fighting to see me, hear me, crave me, and every night while Andre thought I was watching TV or reading, I was setting up lights, adjusting my phone, fixing my hair, checking my angles, becoming the version of me that the internet was addicted to. And every morning I woke up with a hollow pit in my stomach, a mix of shame and euphoria, guilt and power. I thought I could balance it, thought I could have both, love and lust, reality and fantasy. But deep down I felt it. The crack was widening. The lie was getting heavier. The double life was swallowing me whole. It happened on a Tuesday, a regular, ordinary Tuesday. I was in the kitchen making coffee when I heard the familiar ding from my laptop. A notification. I didn't think much of it. Neither did Andre. Until he glanced over and saw the subject line pop up on the corner of the screen. Your payout is ready. His face shifted. Just slightly. Curiosity at first, confusion, then he clicked. And everything unraveled in seconds. I walked back into the living room and the air felt different. Heavy, thick, silent in the worst way. He didn't say anything. He didn't even look at me. His eyes were glued to the screen, scrolling, clicking again. I saw it. My OnlyFans dashboard messages. Comments, payment history, private chats, photos, videos. Everything I thought was mine. Everything I thought was safe. Everything I thought was safe. He kept scrolling. The longer he scrolled, the quieter the room became. Quieter, but you're my dream. I can't sleep without watching you. I think about you when I'm with her, each one like a knife. Not just in his chest, but in mine too. Because now, hearing them in his presence, they didn't sound like power. They didn't sound like validation. They sounded like betrayal, like filth, like shame in its purest, ugliest form. I opened my mouth to say something, anything, but no sound came out. I felt my knees tremble, my stomach twist. I wanted to grab the laptop, slam it shut, destroy myself, but it was too late. He finally looked at me, not with anger, not with rage, but with something infinitely worse. Devastation, heartbreak, disbelief. His voice was barely a whisper. So, all these years I thought you were mine. His hands shook as he closed the laptop, quiet, methodical. He stood up, walked into the bedroom. I followed, stumbling over my own breath, my own apologies trying to form, but choking before they left my lips. Andre, wait, please. It's not, but it was. It was exactly what it looked like. He opened the closet, grabbed his duffel bag, started packing. Calm, focused, detached. I kept begging, please, please, just listen. It wasn't real. They don't know me. They don't have me. You do. You've always had me. He zipped the bag, looked me dead in the eyes, and said, no, Laura, I never had you. Not really. And then he walked out of the apartment, out of my life, out of everything we built. I stood there, frozen, trembling, watching the door close, hearing the silence echo louder than any scream, and at that moment, the realization hit like a freight train. I didn't just lose the man who loved me. I destroyed the version of me that he loved. I killed it with every photo, every message, every click, thinking I was in control, thinking it was harmless, thinking no one would ever know. But someone did. He did. And now, he's gone. He never came back. No calls, no texts, no chance to explain. He blocked me on everything. Phone, Instagram, WhatsApp. Gone. Like I never existed. One day, he was my world, my safe place, my home. And the next, he was just gone. And that's when the crash happened. Not the kind you hear in movies. With screaming and breaking dishes. No. This was quieter, darker, more suffocating. I collapsed inside myself. Sat on the floor for hours, maybe days, staring at nothing, refreshing my messages over and over, hoping, praying that his name would pop up. It never did. I realized something brutal in that silence. I never wanted those men, not really. I never craved their faces. I didn't care about their names. I wasn't chasing them. I was chasing how they made me feel. Wanted, seen, important, desired, but none of it was real. The comments, the money, the obsession. It wasn't real love. It was a drug, a hit of dopamine to cover a wound I never had the courage to face. And in trying to fill that void, I lost the only person who ever truly loved me for who I am. Not for how I look, not for what I could offer behind a screen, just me. And now I sit alone. I still have the followers. The comments still come. Notifications still light up my phone. You're perfect. I wish you were mine. You drive me crazy. Hundreds, thousands, but they don't mean anything anymore. They're hollow, empty. They don't hold me at night. They don't laugh with me. They don't know how I like my coffee. They don't wipe my tears when the silence gets too loud. I traded real love for artificial validation. Flesh for pixels. Connection for fantasy. And standing here surrounded by people who worship a version of me that doesn't even exist, I've never felt more alone in my entire life. I reached a point where I couldn't pretend anymore. One night, after sitting alone scrolling through the same comments, the same empty hearts and meaningless flames, something inside me just snapped. I looked at my reflection on the dark screen and asked myself, is this it? Is this really who you've become? My chest felt tight. My hands were shaking. And for the first time, I wasn't chasing the next message. I wasn't searching for the next rush. I was staring at someone I didn't even recognize. So I did something I thought I'd never do. I opened the app, went to settings and hit delete. Delete profile, delete content, delete the version of me I created for strangers. And when the screen went blank, the silence was deafening. No more messages, no more notifications, no more fake validation, just me and the raw, aching emptiness that I'd been trying to fill all this time. I started therapy the following week. Walked in, trembling, scared, ashamed. Sat across from a stranger and said words I never thought I'd say out loud. I don't know how to love myself without needing someone else to tell me I'm enough. That was the truth. It was never about sex, never about the money, never about the men. It was about that hole in my chest that kept whispering, you're not enough. You'll never be enough. And I believed it, so I sold pieces of myself. To silence that voice only to feed it even more. Recovery isn't linear. I wish I could say I deleted everything and never looked back, but I'd be lying. There are nights when the loneliness creeps in, when the old whispers come back when I open the app again, start to make a new profile, upload one photo, and then I stare at it, at the caption, at the empty smile, and I realize I can't do this anymore, so I delete it again. It's a war, a daily war between the version of me that craves to be seen and the version of me that's learning to believe she's enough without the eyes of strangers. I'm not fully healed. I don't know if I ever will be, but for the first time, I'm showing up for myself without filters, without captions, without selling my worth, just me. And maybe that's where real healing starts. If you're listening to this, maybe you think this isn't serious. Maybe you tell yourself, it's just attention, it's just validation, it's harmless. That's exactly what I told myself over and over again. until the harmless became destructive, until the fun became a prison, until the thing that made me feel powerful started eating me alive. I used to believe that if there was no physical touch, it didn't count, that if I wasn't cheating with my body, then it wasn't real betrayal. But let me tell you something, it is. It absolutely is. Because when your heart belongs to the validation of strangers, there's nothing left for the person who actually loves you. When your self-worth becomes a currency you trade online, piece by piece, you start disappearing from your own life. The truth is, the screen feels safe. It feels like protection. No one can hurt you there. You control the angles. You control the narrative. You decide how much they get to see. But what no one tells you is that the screen also becomes your cage. A digital mirror that reflects everything you hate about yourself and nothing you actually need to heal, if you're hiding behind it. Right now, I need you to hear me. This will not save you. This will not fill the emptiness. This will not make you feel loved, not for real. And I know how terrifying it is to step out to admit it, to say, I need help. But the longer you stay silent, the more it owns you, the more it rewrites your story. And one day, you'll wake up, just like I did, and realize the person who loved you, the one who saw you beyond the filters, beyond the posts, beyond the fake smiles, is gone. And sometimes they don't come back. Not everyone forgives. Not everyone waits. And that's a pain I don't want anyone else to feel. So please, speak before the secret becomes your prison, before the validation becomes your God, before the silence becomes the loudest regret of your life. You don't have to do this alone. You don't have to be perfect, but you do have to be honest. That's where freedom starts. That's where healing begins. And trust me, it's the hardest thing you'll ever do, but it's the only thing that will actually set you free. This was my confession. It's not pretty. It's not easy. It's not something I'm proud of, but it's real. It's my truth. And maybe it's yours too. Maybe you've felt this emptiness, this obsession with being seen, this addiction to hearing strangers tell you that you're beautiful, desirable, perfect, even though, deep down, you don't believe it yourself. Maybe you've lived behind a screen, constructed a version of yourself that seems more lovable than the real you. Maybe you've lost someone because of it. Or maybe you're on the edge right now, wondering how much longer you can keep living this double life before it all falls apart. If that's you, you're not alone. You're not the only one who's struggled with this, who's felt this shame, this confusion, this longing for something that never truly satisfies here. In this space, no one judges you. No one throws stones. We're just people, broken, hurting, struggling to become whole again. This channel is a safe space for people like us. People who are done pretending, who are ready to stop hiding. Then share your story. Comment below. Tell us where you're from. Tell us what you're struggling with. Or just say, I'm here. Because sometimes, just knowing you're not alone is enough to start healing. My name is Laura. This was my truth. What's yours? Never forget that your story can heal others. Keep watching this video that's playing on your screen.